Coach Cleve, how you doing today?
Coach.
Good, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you. We have been blessed and are thankful for a few good matchups for BYU basketball in Brooklyn. Today, BYU plays Alabama. But first, I want to get some of your top takeaways from BYU's win over Niagara Tuesday.
You know what? The second half, it was probably, to me, the best execution that they've had in this young season thus far. I mean, you could kind of see the system at its best, how it worked. There was really good, sharp, clean ball screen action, inside out. There was good high-low action, screen for the ball screen action, screens for threes. I mean, everything just really went well. Obviously, the numbers kind of verify that and validate that because they really do. I think they shot 60% in the second half or close to it. But it was just fun to see them make shots when they were running the offense and they were getting it off the offense. So that was the best offense I've seen. And anytime, you have talented young men that can score, and then they execute on top of it, it was really hard to guard. So I love what I saw there. They shared the ball. The ball was always going side to side, which every coach wants. And maybe the best thing about it is they had 44 points in the paint and, a variety of ways. So, yeah, I thought it was really good.
Coach, that's a lot of great things that happened. What were some of the things that you think that they could have improved or they could or need to improve upon from that game?
Well, I thought in the first half they were really early. I mean, they were quick. They weren't patient with the offense, turning the ball over, and not really defending with the kind of passion that they've had. And so it was kind of a tale of two halves. So if they had done the same thing in the second half, they'd have lost that game because Niagara is such a sneaky team, and they could bounce it, beat you off the bounce anytime they wanted to, and they were knocking shots down. So they're a scary type team to play. Typically, when you play teams like that at home, second half, things settle in, and they don't make the shots. But that's a dangerous team to play, and they came out and played better the second half. But the first half was kind of the antithesis of the second. I mean, it was just the opposite. They just didn't play very well.
Now they have a matchup in which they'll probably need to be well-rounded in both halves. Today against Alabama. This is a team that's ranked. Colin Sexton is a future lottery pick, 25 a game, 4.7 assists per game. He's shooting 63%. He's a guard. This guy is a heck of a player, maybe the best player BYU will play all year. If BYU wins this game, what did they do?
Well, they're going to have to make somebody else beat them. I'll just tell you that right now. They let him go off, and they don't make some adjustments. Like, for instance, coming off of ball screens. When they come off of ball screens, they got to double the ball hard and get it out of his hands and make a big beat you or make another guard beat you. I think that's the best way to stop a really high-scoring, very efficient offensive player is you make them do things that they don't want to do. And so the adjustments defensively are going to be really important early in the game. In transition, it's more difficult. But I think that the situation with Sexton is that if he gets in the flow, I think the most positive thing for BYU is that this is Alabama's first game away from home. They've played 4 home games, maybe a neutral site game, but this is a game where they're on the road for the first time. They have a young team. They have 3 freshmen that play a lot of minutes. You mentioned Sexton. John Petty's averaging 15 a game. So it is a young team. They kind of depend on a few veterans like Coach Johnson's son, Avery Johnson Jr. He came in and gave them a big lift. But I think defensively, early on in this game, if they can take things away early and make this team struggle, then it'll be their first real competitive game since UT Arlington. I mean, UT Arlington is a game where they were down 8-9 points, but that game was at home. And so it's hard to compare the two scores. We know Arlington's really good, but they played them at home and really were lucky to beat them. So I looked at this game to be more competitive than maybe people think, only because it's their first time away from home, and it's a situation where BYU's had a chance. They've got tape on them. It's easier this first game where they have tape on them. They've prepared for them. I'm sure they've prepared for UMass as well, but certainly they're more prepared for Alabama than they might be UMass.
So, Coach, if you take the ball out of Sexton's hands and you make somebody else on his team beat you, are you okay with that, or would you, during the game, make some more adjustments to where you're now defending those players, head up instead of double teaming?
It certainly, if somebody is going off and you're leaving people, you have to make adjustments. You might go to a 1-3-1 zone. You may play him straight up. Sexton misses his first 4 or 5 shots, and all of a sudden you go back to the original game plan where you just play him straight up until he gets hot again. So you're constantly in flux with game plan. I mean, initially, if we play it, just get the ball out of his hands and make somebody else beat us, and then other people are doing that. You may go back to a just traditional where we're going to play honest with each of our guys, block out, and contest shots. And then depending on what the circumstances are, coming out of timeouts, dead balls, maybe try some zone. I think you want to try a little bit of everything in the first 10 or 15 minutes to get a feel. So you want to make this game as choppy. You don't want Alabama to have a flow in this game where they feel comfortable. They need to make them feel uncomfortable. And then at the other end, obviously they're going to have to score themselves. But, they are playing an inexperienced team, but as you said, Jeremy, pretty talented. This is a lottery pick guy or first-round guy that's going to be in the NBA next year. But you know what? I watched the first half of the Duke-Portland State game yesterday. Anything's possible.
That's right.
Anything is possible.
Kevin Garnett is not a liar. That's exactly right. We're talking to Steve Cleveland on BYU Sports Nation. Dave Rose was pretty outspoken after the Niagara game, saying if we had known what the setup would turn into, we might not have gone there. BYU was expecting to play in the Barclays Center, home of the Brooklyn Nets, on an ESPN. Instead, they're playing at LIU Brooklyn's gym, a.k.a. Salt Lake Community College of Brooklyn. And they're playing on Facebook Live. Like, this is a weird setup. Do you feel the same way as Dave Rose?
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's not what you wanted. That's not what you signed up for. You have to make some adjustments sometimes. But, if going in, they would have never done this. But the fact is, you know what? You can't let that get into their heads as coaches or the players. We're going to play. It's like another role game. Hey, it's 2,500-seat arena. It's like a warm-up for the WCC. Okay, that's how I would approach it. Hey, this is a facility just like we're going to play, 18 conference games in. Let's get our heads right. We'll play at the big arena tomorrow. You can't talk about that too much. I get what Dave's saying, and certainly he probably would not have signed up for that. But the fact is, they are still in New York. What a great trip for the guys! Thanksgiving parade, all the things that go with New York. I'll be honest with you. I don't think the kids really care. I mean, they want to play. I don't care if they play in a 2,500 or 25,000, and they're going to get a chance to play in Barclays tomorrow against UMass. So, no, I get what Dave's saying, and I probably wouldn't have signed up for it, especially when you look at all the other really prestigious tournaments going on around the country in big-time facilities. But it is what it is, and they got a chance to beat a ranked team.
Never fear, Brooklyn is here. Coach, we appreciate the time.
You're welcome.